Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. We were just getting into the hard questions. They were starting to grill me, Chantel and Joel, and they had a great question. So why don't we just go back to that, repeat the question, and we'll dive in.
All right. So we were speaking with some hard money lenders this week, and he has about 20 years of real estate investing experience. And he was saying that to keep your money in the bank and always use other people's. So a couple questions were, can you do this even with down payments? He says you can use them to finance even repair costs, use them as the hard money lenders. And any advice on this that you have?
Yeah, so there's a lot there that he is sort of saying without saying. So is it possible? Absolutely. There are plenty of people. You can actually watch I think it's interview number 4, or maybe it's 3, Jason Pritchard on my channel. He does that. He borrows the purchase price and the repair cost from a hard money provider. So he has very little, if any, money. Sometimes it's closing costs he has in the deal, but basically it's nothing. And then what he does is over the next 4 to 5 months, he uses the repair money, raises the cost, sticks a tenant in, and then his whole vision is to go back to a bank and refi out. His plan thus far is working perfectly. He is refining out. I think he said there was one exception, but let's just put like a couple of grand. But basically, he's refining everything out and paying off the hard money lender. And essentially, he has the house now that's renting cash flow wise. So yes, it is possible. And yes, people are doing it. However, what's not being said there, he is probably spending 8 to 12 grand in fees and interest that, if he was willing to just put 20 or 30 down cash, his own money, and put that at risk, he could save that. And he gets his 30 or 40K back, right? So if you don't have any money, yes, you can borrow it. There are lots of hard money vendors out there that will loan you ridiculous amounts of money on assets, charge you exorbitant rates with high interest, because the market kind of makes sense now. They can get away with it, but you're not left with any margin. However, if you take 20% of the purchase price, your equity, you go to the bank who has they'll charge you $1,000 where hard money will charge you 8,000. They'll charge you 5.5% interest. The hard money will charge you 12. You could run the same process, except at the end of the day, you're left with your cash back and a lower interest rate and a bigger margin. So he's technically correct, but he's basically just trying to pad his wallet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the good news there is, if you ever found 2 deals, you could do one with your money. And if another deal came across, remember your path, right? The whatever that's called, crosshairs. It's good to know you have another option, right? Use the hunting analogy, which I apparently stuck at. I've never been hunting. I have no idea what that little friggin' target thing is. But yeah, so hard money vendors can work. It's, but I've just seen so many people, do a deal that they should have made 20 or 30 grand on, make 4, and they had the money. They just paid all the fees and all this stuff. And then they go, well, I had an infinite return. I'm like, yeah, you put $4,000 in your bank. Big whoop. Where, it could have been 25. So that's my thought on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely gives us some stuff to process there.
Yeah. So just one more thing on that. Banks, like when I say conventional to the first question, the one that sort of closed out the previous video, one thing that went unsaid that maybe I should have been clearer on is banks only want to lend on pretty properties, right? So if you're going into, if like the 60K house, was missing a bathroom, I'm not saying it is, but if it was, they're probably not going to lend on that. So then conventional is not even an option. So hard money would be your only option, right? So,
Well, and that could help with criteria, even looking for houses as well, making sure they are the pretty houses, for the banks and stuff. So to get the conventional loans.
And one of the things you could do is you could talk to an appraiser, right? Because one of the things right now banks want to do is they want to sell everything to Fannie and Freddie Mae. So talk to one of the appraisers and figure out the things that they look for, right? Because the property doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to have certain things like, and let them tell you what that is. I don't know what it is in Louisiana, but here in California, we have a big big bugaboo about peeling paint for some reason. I don't know why, but they do, right? If the house is peeling, they're not going to lend on it. And I don't know what it might be in Louisiana, but ask an appraiser, they'll tell you pretty quick.
Okay. So next question is, in your book, you talk about your Norris Drive offer. You wanted the seller to take back a second mortgage of $10,000 of the offer price since you needed the cash for repairs. How does that work?
So it was actually Ferris that we did that on. So that was the second one, but that's okay. We created a second mortgage. So we got a first loan from Bank of America for about $100,000. And then we just established a second, it's called a second deed of trust and a second mortgage, just a second mortgage. And we filled out the paperwork, went through escrow, and I sent them interest payments for 3 or 4 years before I had to pay them off because there was a balloon payment at the end of that. But that just comes from talking to the sellers, and lots of sellers will take back small seconds because not everybody needs all their money right away. Sometimes they like some interest. Yeah. So it's just a conversation.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't work all the time. Like if you're buying a house for $70,000 and they owe 68, you're not going to get a second. But if you're buying a house and it's owned free and clear, I might even offer owner financing first, right? Like if they own a $60,000 house and there's no debt, I'd say, you know what? Why don't I offer you $62,000, but then let me give you like 4% interest or something, right? So you can get creative with owner financing. It's pretty powerful when done correctly.
Okay, cool. Let's see. You had mentioned part in your book that the bank said that you own too much real estate at one point.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, I did.
How can that not be a good thing, though?
Oh man, that was painful.
Yeah.
So just to relive that, right? So the market rolls over, right? So we're probably in 2010, and literally everything is on sale. It's like going to Nordstrom's or wherever, right? Wherever your fancy clothes shopping place is, and everything is 75% off. However, they say we only buy with euros. That's what happened. And like, I live in the US, I don't have euros, right?
Yeah.
So the banks basically said no lending to anybody who owns property. They literally said, how many properties you own? And I'm like, I don't know, 52 or whatever the number was. And they're like, sorry, can't lend to you. I'm like, I never missed a payment. I own apartment buildings. I have, a 7-figure net equity, and I have a decent income. What's the problem? Sorry, sir, we won't lend to you. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? But basically they blamed real estate investors for the 2008 crash, and they were not lending to us. And they didn't lend to us for 5 years, right?
Wow.
No,
yeah.
Pretty painful.
So it's just the way the market changed.
Yeah. And that's a big thing, right? Markets have cycles, right? Pricing cycles, lending cycles, interest rate cycles, supply demand cycles. You talked about a cycle for employment, right? There's a lot of people coming in for oil and gas. There's a cycle there. And you have to watch all of them. There's not one cycle in real estate.
Yeah. I've been learning that through some of the, just the different real estate investors around. Like, you don't just learn stuff about real estate, get in it and stay there for 30 years. Like you're going to have to stay and figure it all out. And
it's playing music. Yep. It's playing music. You just have to keep learning how to dance.
Yeah. There you go. So you also mentioned that y'all didn't splurge much, which we kind of talked about that a little bit. Y'all took it all and rolled back into the next purchase. So did y'all even take like the positive cash flow that you were making from the rental properties and stuff and roll that back in? So just everything? Everything.
We lived on about 40% of my income, and everything else went back into the business. Everything. Cash flow, refis. Wow. If we had a tax return, if I had a bonus, everything. All of our needs were covered. Most of our daughter's wants were covered. But everything else went back to the business. Everything. And
y'all did that for like 10 years, right?
10 hard years, yeah. And if I asked Olivia, she would probably say 15. But we got a little lax there at the last few years.
Yeah. So you'd say paid off though, right?
Oh, there's no question. And really, we had the conversation on the couch about what we were going to do, and we never wavered, and it became a habit, right? I remember the first couple of years we got to summer and like we were going to do our summer vacation. We're like, nope, staycation, right?
Yeah.
So it just became a habit.
Yeah.
And we didn't even think about it after a couple of years. It does. It's hard the first couple though.
Yeah. Well, we've been he's one income family. We've been one income family for almost the whole time we've been married. Pretty much.
Years.
Yeah, 16 years. So we've learned to be pretty frugal. We've learned some, Dave Ramsey techniques and things like that. So we're kind of ready to be done with that a little bit more. Hence my dreams that you hear.
Yes, no, that's good. No, yeah, you can get there.
Yeah, I believe so too. So the next question is rentals, flips, auctions, and foreclosures. Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Did you have minimal experience with this? Did you decide early on that you would only do rentals?
Yeah, so I was 30 years old, I was frustrated, been burned in the stock market. I had a demanding full-time job. I pretty much knew what I couldn't do, right? I couldn't flip. Wholesaling wasn't a thing at the time, but I couldn't do that, right? Because I couldn't market. I couldn't build a team. My market was 2.5 hours away. It very quickly became buy and hold rentals. And again, it never was about the income, right? It was about the long-term income, right? The 15 to 20-year income. Did I need the extra $100 that month? No. Hence, we kept rolling it into buying more and more fixer properties. So it was about the long-term vision, right? I had a vision. I actually had a vision to be done at 50, and we got done 5 years early.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Took a lot of work and, a little bit of luck, but that's okay.
Yeah. Cause we've learned, I was asking that cause, we've kind of talked about, like, we go to some of the sheriff sales, we went just to kind of fill it out and stuff. And then, we kind of learned, oh, well, there's this and there's this and there's this. And it's like, oh, and so we're like, yeah, maybe that's not such a good idea for our first, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. I bought out of the MLS, right? Or realtor.com or Redfin or whatever. And the reason I did that is because I can learn a market. So this is what I did, right? So what I would do for Lake Charles is I would pick a section, I don't know, 8 block, 10 block, whatever. And I would dominate understanding that market. I would look at everything coming on, everything that's sold, talk to a real estate agent if you know one and say, hey, give me the last year's sales in this area, and just know that. Because when you look at that over and over and over and over again, you're gonna be able to identify, is it a bad deal, an average deal, a good deal, or a great deal? And you really can't do that by getting lost in sheriff sales and tax deeds and all this other nonsense. I've been doing this for almost 17 years now, and I don't do any of those things, right? If there are people that do it very well, but they've spent the time learning it. And I don't get divided focus. Back to your goals for the year, right? Don't do flips and rentals. Focus, right? Don't get distracted. Maybe in 5 years when, you're getting a little good, then go do sheriff sales, because it's another way to consider deals. But by then you have 5 years of foundation, and you can identify a good deal and a great deal like that. It's hard to do that. Then you have the pressure of the auction house and the gavel, and who knows what happens.
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of red tape. Like even in pre-foreclosures or foreclosures, you can put offers in, but you're not guaranteed anything, and you got to wait all this amount of time, and it's like, let's just move on. We're ready to move,
Yeah. Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a question about leveraging equity.
Yeah.
You would roll all the positive cash flow back in. Did you ever leverage equity, and how did you do it?
We did. We bought 3 houses with the $40,000 we had started, and then I think we did the first cash out refi about year 3. And we bought another house. And that's actually in the book. I talk about turning Norris Drive into an alligator. It's because I did a cash out refi, leveraged equity, and bought another asset. Actually, I think I bought 2 properties with that cash. So be careful. Yes, leverage equity, especially as you're building and growing. The ability to reuse capital is awesome. But never put that first asset at risk of being negative. So instead of taking out the 40 or 50 grand that I did, because again, I didn't know any better, right? The bank said they'd give me 50 grand. I took it. I didn't know. I probably should have only taken 30 out, kept the first asset performing, and then bought another asset instead of turning that first asset into a dog and then buying 2 other ones. So yes, when in this, that's why market cycles and time are your friend in this, because you will be able to reuse equity or leverage equity, to your question. It's a big thing. And then what I did again on that same asset is I did a 1031 exchange. So the price kept going up. And then at some point I thought it was so high, I sold it and I exchanged that money into an apartment building. So yes. If you buy something, you're not going to just own it for 30 years. In my model, you are going to leverage that equity when it makes sense, whether it's going to be a cash out or a 1031 or something. Yes, use that.
Okay. And as far as property managers, when did you decide to jump into that? After the first
day
5,
one?
10?
No, day one. Yeah, we didn't have a choice.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's don't property manage your own stuff. It's way too stressful. You already have a day job. You don't want to impact your day job. You don't want pay someone. It's but your job's to manage the property manager. That's not easy, right? I fired the first 5, right?
Yeah,
that's not fun.
Yeah.
But once you find one that works, treat them well, man. Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't manage your own stuff. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get the midnight phone calls or have to kick somebody out or whatever.
I just want to hear I don't want to hear the sob stories. I act like I'm a big tough guy, but you tell me your next door neighbor's cat died and I'm going to feel bad and I'm just too soft.
I heard you talking about that and I'm like, that's so us. Like, we have to get a property manager right away.
Yeah.
We can't do this.
Yeah.
We'll be like, sure, you can stay here for 6 months on us.
No problem. Yeah. I'll pay the mortgage without your help. No problem.
Yeah. Why don't we just sign the house over to you? Just call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. Just be done.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So next question was, you were talking about in your post homework section, like homework wise, I had already planned to do some of what you were talking about.
Cool.
When I came across it in your book. It's just a good reference and a time saver, it seems like. But how do you go about like finding your own comps and rental pricing in different areas? Do you kind of search that out yourself? I know you said you kind of did everything yourself. You didn't have like real estate agents and stuff constantly sending you stuff and all that. Yeah.
So the good news is now the data's out there, right? You can go look at Craigslist or any of those things for rental amounts. So I would do a little bit of homework first, right? Look on Craigslist, look on Zillow, because you'll see rental amounts. They're posted. At least they are in California, and I assume they are in Louisiana.
So the Zillow stuff is pretty accurate, you think?
Well, again, if it's listed for rent, it's somebody actually posted that. Right. So that's what they're asking. Right.
Yeah, I know like some of the houses we look at, it tells some of this, like the Zest or even,
so Z estimates. No, so if you're looking at an estimate, don't believe that. But one of the flags on Zillow is for rent. Right. Because people are now posting rentals there. So you can look there, but that's not the end all be all. What I would do is do your homework and then I would call a property manager. Right. Because we already know that you need one. Say, hey, I'm looking at buying a house on 123 Main Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,400 square foot house with detached garage. We think it's going to rent for $950. What do you think?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So go in with a little bit informed, and then test them. Or you could do the other one of saying, hey, I'm looking to rent this, and what do you think? And then if they tell you $750, then you can call BS. Right. So being just a little bit informed allows you to have a lot of great conversations.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured I'd come up with like a spreadsheet and kind of map out some of those areas so we don't have to keep calling them back for those same spots and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, so, that's why I'm talking about get the little grid, right? So this area 3-1 is this. And this one's $100 more. Why is that? Oh, well, it's better schools or it's closer to transportation or whatever.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Makes sense. Okay. Cool. So let's see. I think that's about it. So in closing, I guess I could say, I heard a fellow investor recently say, you don't know what you don't know in real estate. So that being said, other than your big no-no of no buying alligator properties, what would be your next best advice of what not to do to someone just starting out?
I guess the biggest red flag, and I'm not sensing this from you, but it is a red flag I see because I go speak at meetups and events all the time. When you come running up to me, like vibrating with excitement about real estate investing, you're destined to burn out. This business takes work, right? You're talking about the homework, right? That I've called out. That takes work. It feels, it's repetitive. it's not fun, but you have to do it or you're going to make a bad deal. And if you're vibrating with excitement and you're over energized and you're just like this kid on sugar, that's not going to end well for anyone. And you're just going to burn out and never do anything. But when you're measured, you're looking at the work, you're like you talked about, right? This is the next thing. That's the next thing. That's the next thing. Just the next brick in the driveway, you'll be fine. Yeah. Just keep moving forward. And then the other one is, I promise you're going to have bad days in this business. It's going to happen. I truly believe real estate investing, it's the Murphy's Law of real estate investing. It tries to kick you out for 10 years before it gives you all the great rewards. Norris Drive I believe Norris Drive would have stopped 99% of the people I talked to. And I would not be talking to you today if I let that little eviction in 6 months and frustration.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're going to have a bad day and I'm sorry. But just pick yourself up, deal with it and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we've been, it's been a little frustrating because we've actually, we're going to buy a house in October when we first started. We got all the legal stuff taken care of and everything.
Yeah.
And, but I've just kind of taken a lot of this time to learn a little more patience and go to these monthly meetups and networking and reading books and lots of podcasts and just learning about, even the auction stuff, checking it out, saying, hey, you know what, this isn't for us right now. These pre-foreclosure things, we wouldn't have known about that had we not went and experienced it, Yep. So we've just been I've been taking this time to really just learn all that, and just absorb it. And now it's almost like, do I know enough now to move forward?
Yeah.
So you can't.
If you can answer the following question, I think you're there. What's your buying criteria? That's the answer. Yeah. That's the one you need to sit down and in your situation, first video, you need to have that honest discussion with all three partners. Everybody has to be on the same page.
Yeah.
That's one thing Olivia and I didn't have, right? We were, we did this together. So, one vote was the vote, her vote, obviously not mine. Let's just be real. But yeah, so you need to sit down as a group and go, okay, what's our buying criteria? Because I'm not sure I know what that is after talking to you for a little while. But that's what I try to figure out. Because once you do that, it is that, whatever you call that, sight on the gun or whatever you want to call it. When something comes across it, you go, guys, or team, that's the one.
Yeah.
Are we, time to pull the trigger or not? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I would work on next.
Okay. That
great.
Makes sense? That sounds great. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. And thank you very much for reading my book.
Absolutely.
That was cool. So have you logged in and given me a 5-star review yet?
Well, I am actually on phase 2, towards the end of phase 2.
Oh, okay.
So reading more.
I'll wait until you're done. That's fine.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. I love talking to new investors getting started. You're on the right path. You're measured. You're in this together. Every sign points to your success. So just keep going and have some fun together.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You got it. Take care.